All right, we're live.
Live.
Welcome to the Open Door Coin Door?
Open
Coin.
the
We're still figuring out the name, but I think it's a good name.
I
Open
love it.
Coin Door Podcast.
The Open Coin Door Podcast.
Yes, brought to you by Reclaim Arcade.
Well, that's because it's about Reclaim Arcade, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Mostly. I mean, unless we bring on other guests who run arcades, which I think would be really cool. But the goal behind this podcast is really to give people a little background information about what it's like to run a retro arcade. I think that's something that not a lot of people talk about, and there's a lot more of them out there today than there was 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and I think people maybe, I'm one, used to fantasize like, oh man, wouldn't it be great?
Totally.
Like, that'd be so cool. You know,
Yeah.
we grew up with them.
Right.
Oh yeah,
I
it'd be
should start
awesome.
an arcade.
I should do that.
Right.
And then you're the only crazy bastard I've ever
That
met
actually did
actually
it.
did it. And I was like, yeah, I'm along for the ride. I'll help any way that I can.
And after a few episodes, you'll realize why you should not do said thing. Just kidding.
That's not true.
No, it's not true.
That's not true.
There is a lot of good that happens here,
Yeah.
and occasionally some frustration. And we'll get into all of that. But welcome, everybody. This is the inaugural episode. It's the first time we've ever done this, but definitely we'll be doing more episodes to come and have lots of cool stuff for you. I figured we would start off just kind of recapping the last week that we had. But by the way, my name is Tim Owens. I'm the owner of Reclaim Arcade, and I'm joined here by Collins Wetzel.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Again.
Collins helps me with so much stuff at the arcade. I mean, you might as well be a part owner at this point,
I'm
given
silent
how much
partner, buddy.
you're
I'm
silent.
silent partner.
I don't know that you're always that silent.
I'm not
actually.
always. I try to be. I do. I try to. I'm in the background.
Right, yeah,
I'm
okay. I
I'm
don't
in
know
the
about that either. But definitely,
I try.
you've played a big role in this across the board. I mean, from DJing things to helping me put stuff together and build things, and all across the way. You've seen it from the customer side and from you get a lot of the behind the scenes side too
Yeah.
that I think others don't
Yeah.
know. And I definitely wanted to start this with you in part because sometimes I get in my own head and I don't know what people are curious about, and I think you probably do more so than others. So.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see.
It's just
right.
It's been. I've literally been there since before day one.
Right.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
ask us. I've had this conversation a lot, probably multiple times in the last month. Like, how did you two meet?
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Like, how do you do that? I'm like, well, we were at a pinball tournament. He said he had this crazy, stupid idea to open an arcade, and I was like, hey, I'll help.
And we'll get into this a little bit later as we talk about other topics, but I kind of knew your name because of the craft beer scene. And so we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
this is news to me.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll get into that in a little bit. But
Cool.
first, recap from this past week. We had a very busy week. We were open on Memorial Day, and we normally are not open on Mondays and Tuesdays. This was the second time that we've done a huge pinball tournament here.
Yeah. You like to do huge events.
I like it, and it's also a lot of work. And
But you're good at it.
well, it was a lot of fun. We did a Labor Day pinball tournament last fall, and we were like, you know what? Mondays that are federal holidays work really well for big pinball tournaments because people are off from work, and yet we're not normally open, so we're not having to close the space when we wouldn't normally. So we were able to bring in a lot of extra machines and things, and so as we got to thinking about it, we were like, man, we should do that again. I thought Memorial Day might be it. I was a little concerned about whether more people would be traveling for Memorial Day weekend.
People brought that up
Yeah.
when we were talking to people about,
Sure.
hey, do you think people are actually going to show up? And I can remember telling them, listen, pinball people that are going to play in like if you get this word out, that's what they're doing.
Right.
And it worked.
Yeah.
How many? You had to open it up. First
We-
was how many?
Yeah, so first I was capping it at 85, and for a while there was sitting around 65 or so, and I'm like, that's fine, that's totally fine, but as these things typically go, people started adding at the last minute. We made it to 85, we had it capped at that, and then last minute, and part of that, the decision process was because of the number of games that we have, because I always want to have more games than the number of people that are going to be on the games, because inevitably something's going to break. So 4-player games, you figure with 85 people, that's probably 22 games in use at any given time at the beginning of the tournament. And so that left me about 3 as backups if something goes wrong. But then out of the blue, it was like, I did the math wrong on one thing because I thought we would be swapping out Kong for Deadpool and Deadpool wouldn't be here anymore. But it was. And so that was an extra game. And then a buddy of mine and yours, Bayless, had needed to move a pinball machine from someone else's house back to his house. And he said it was actually a D&D LE. And he was like, do you want it for the tournament? And I'm like, man, that's a limited edition. It's yours. It's your baby. And he was like, I don't care. You can have it. Like, you can put it in the tournament.
It was
like,
in.
Okay. So that put us up to 27 games. And at that point, I was like, oh, we can add more people. And there is a wait list. So we ended up accepting 90 people, and 89 of them showed up. So only one person missed that day. And so, yeah, biggest tournament we've ever done. The last one was 80.
I think so.
Labor Day was 80 people, and this one was 89. And it was a great day of pinball. It was a lot of fun. You primarily held down the stream, although you also won the B Division finals. So
I did. How about that?
Yeah.
It's something about me in the B Division that I can't quite break into the A, but the A Division. Let's clarify.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll
get there.
The A Division. But
still.
It was So Lance had a technicality on Star Wars where he was in multi-ball and something happened, so they reset it.
Yeah.
And they put 2 in the shooter lane, right? Because he was in multi-ball.
Because he was in multi-ball and he needed to be back in it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And something happened.
I don't remember that call. I don't know. Did I get called over for it?
No, Dale did it.
Dale made the call.
Yeah. So when you have a tournament like that, you have more than one
You have
TD.
more than one TD, yeah. It's not just me, to be clear.
Yeah.
Like Dale and, honestly, Mad Mike, Mike Richardson, who does all of our pinball repairs, was huge that day. He donated several pins that we got from his house and put up and set up for the day. He was also a tournament director as well.
Yeah. So Dale ended up he put 2 of them in the shooting lane, asked Lance if it was okay. He's like, yeah, that's fine. And, I mean, you shot 2 balls out of the shooting lane at the same time. But how are you supposed to not?
No.
How are you supposed to restart multi-ball? So it was a little odd. But anyway, I guess like 5 seconds after, he drained them both.
They both went out.
And he was mad. And
I'm sure.
I mean, rightfully so, but it's just like a pinball thing.
It's tough. Anytime you've got to like stop the flow of the game and wait for a decision, and if it takes a while and all that, or like a stuck ball, whatever the case may be, and then you have to get in the mindset of like, okay, now back to that exciting.
What was I doing?
Back to that exciting thing that I was in the middle
Especially
of.
in middle, like he was in multi-ball too.
Right.
So I had a really low score. I mean, it was like 212. It was
212 isn't that low for Star Wars, is it? I mean, it's not great, but
yeah, it's not.
You're a much better player. You used to own a Star Wars, so
I did.
You
Yeah.
would know.
Well,
right?
oh yeah, I knew that the Hoth loop wasn't working, but anyway.
Until it worked for other people.
So I got lucky, and Lance didn't.
Yeah.
And then me and Jason Good, shout out to Jason.
Yeah.
He was on Godzilla, him and me, and he had 55 million. And going into ball 3, I only had 38.
Ooh.
So I was like, crap.
It's like it's reachable, but it's also like I don't even want to pretend that it is because
that's what I was like.
Anything could happen in pinball.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. What am I going to do here? I'm not going to go for like setup. I'm going to get points.
Right.
And I started Godzilla multi-ball.
Yeah.
And I think
pretty
maybe
easy multi-ball to get started.
But I hadn't.
Right.
You know, so I was like,
banging on the building can be dangerous too. Yeah, again, like.
Well, and you had virtual locks.
Oh yes, I did.
So as soon as it went up, it stuck, and as soon as I got, I was like, "Oh, good! I have it right." And I ended up getting like 300 million on it.
Yeah, so it played like a Godzilla Pro in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So I did. I won B division, and then I held down the stream for the rest of the time until Robert joined me.
And then he held it down.
He's a celebrity now. Like everybody that I talk to. Yeah.
And you had a lot of people join you on the stream. It just seemed every time I poked my head over there, it was like different people hopping on there and talking with you.
Jenna got on.
Nice.
Talks about women flipping out.
Oh, good.
So we've got a tournament, a ladies tournament here. Jenna started women flipping out a couple years ago, and they're here often and down at Maltese. And they go up north too. They're going to the basement They're going to Pinball
They
Basement
are going
soon.
to the Pinball Basement. They did. Speaking of Jason Good, he's not. He doesn't operate games in there anymore. But Acme Pie
Acme
Company
Pie.
at the time,
Yep.
they did a tournament up there, and so they tried to jump to a few others. But
Yeah.
Fredericksburg is their primary spot. They run a pinball league at Maltese Brewing, and then they do their monthly women's tournament.
I think our
here at
streams go
Reclaim.
well with those things.
Yeah.
You know, if you guys haven't, check out the Reclaim Arcade Twitch.
There you go. They're Twitch, and then I try to remember to put them up on YouTube
On
after the
YouTube,
fact. So
yeah.
if you follow us on YouTube, you've seen some of those. They run long. I'm not gonna lie. The Memorial Day tournament is over 11
10 hours. 11?
over 11, I believe. Yeah,
It was a long
in
day,
total.
man.
So I can't say that I've watched all of it, but at some point I will.
Yeah, we've had our things. You know, we've had our troubles with, and that might be something we dive into.
That could be a good topic for
later
the future
because
podcast.
you've been asked quite a bit.
Yeah.
About, hey, how do you make the rig and everything? And I mean, I'm nowhere. I'm dead in the water if you're not
Yeah.
there. I'm like, hey, this isn't working. But we figured it out.
Streaming can be a lot of challenges, but it's kind of, they're, for me, fun challenges. So, yeah, that might be a good topic for the future, I
Not
think,
for me.
sure.
They're not fun challenges.
They're not fun challenges.
I just
for
want
you.
to sit and talk
Just want
and
it to
use my
work.
telestrator.
Right.
So if you guys ever,
I want everything to work, right?
yes, if you ever check out the streams, I've got the telestrator going and
Yeah.
maybe some sound effects that Tim loves. And
Right.
yeah, the streams are good, but I think the tournament had a lot of planning, logistics,
Mhm.
right? How many games are going to go over here? Where's the stream going to be set up at?
Oh yeah, we
know.
spent the better part of Sunday setting up games while we were open and operating as a normal
Mhm.
arcade, setting up games and getting everything ready. And then, frankly, my day Tuesday was packing things up and taking them to people's
Yeah.
houses and everything. So yeah,
I mean, it was a
it's-
3-day event for
It
you.
kind of was, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a one-day thing for me.
Right.
It was like
Mike
a
and
lot.
Dale were here Sunday.
yeah.
I came over on Sunday.
hmm
And then really what we couldn't, because it was open, you don't want to take away from the arcade, right? Like you can't
No,
you can't
yeah.
take away from the arcade and shut down machines while people are here.
No.
So Monday morning we were all in here
all in the
cleaning.
and doing repairs on the games that were being just played.
I mean, all the way
all
up.
weekend,
I finally
yeah.
got Cactus Canyon. People were like walking in, like ready to go, and I'm once over in Cactus Canyon as fast as I can.
And we should start like checking some of the stats on the games to give people a sense, because just that, like, if anybody's listening to this and isn't aware of what Reclaim Arcade is or anything, we're a free play arcade in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So people pay entry fee to come in, then they can play these games as much as they want. I would be curious, even just on Kong. Kong's only been there a week. I wonder how many plays it has on it. I know it makes you sad to even think about it, but
You know how many I have on it?
yeah,
2.
2.
And I was here every day.
So it's popular.
There are people on the damn thing.
Yeah,
I literally,
that's interesting.
I was here last night and couldn't get on it.
Yeah.
I was here for an hour and couldn't
It's
get
the
on it.
new hotness, we swapped out Deadpool for it. It's the new hotness right now, but I definitely think it's also just a really fun game.
It's fun. Well, and the people that were playing had ICs. Like I saw them scanning in.
Yeah.
So the people know. Like, do you have it on Pinball Map yet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People know because they're
Sure.
doo-doo,
Yeah.
and they're here to do that. They're not just like, oh, it's King Kong.
Get their achievements, do all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's popular. It is.
So
It will be interesting to see what the numbers.
yeah. And
work.
speaking of Kong, that leads me right into the next topic, which is we added King Kong to the lineup. So,
What a game!
what a game!
Wow, that's
I will say I struggled to and you know this. I asked several different people. Like, it's getting hard for me to decide what game has to go, and especially when it comes to Stern. I know it wouldn't be hard for you, but whatever.
But that's ironic though, because the game that I would like to go is the game that I used to own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Oh, I thought you would have said Uncanny X-Men. You're just gonna say Star Wars.
Star Wars or
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Star Wars is so, like, this is very interesting, I think. I asked a lot of different people. I was trying to poll them to get their sense of,
Mhm.
like, what would you not be sad if it went away? Because here were the rules that I set down. And I think about this, when I'm trying to decide new games to get, to some extent, there's a calculation there of, like, what other locations here have. And the biggest one being Maltese Brewing.
100%.
They're
you,
not,
you need to set yourself apart.
and I should be clear about that. They're not competition. Mike and Dale, the same people that were helping me at the Memorial Day tournament, are the operators at Maltese Brewing.
Yeah.
We are all great friends. But it's you would know as a consumer and me as a consumer, like it's not interesting if there's like both locations in Fredericksburg have the exact same sterns and that's all you've got,
That's
right?
not fun.
It's a lot more fun when there's a variety of
Yep.
pinball in your city.
Yeah.
So, we do have a little bit of overlap, but I was thinking about it, and so like that part went into the calculus. What does Maltese have? They're getting a Kong as well, unfortunately. So like that is happening, but sometimes you can't avoid it because some games are just so good.
Well,
Um,
it happened with Jaws
yeah, Jaws,
and Kong.
and Deadpool, and yeah, there have been a couple, but for the most part,
The newer ones.
when possible, I try to have some variation there. It's
You
not
didn't
the
want to get
end
a
all
Venom?
be all.
You don't want Venom?
No,
Are you sure?
definitely didn't want a Venom.
No?
No.
Scooby-Doo? I know what one you want.
Which one?
Galactic Tank Force.
Oh yeah, of course I do.
That is his baby.
You know,
You guys don't
Mike's-
understand
yeah, right.
the absolute distaste that Tim has for
Ugh.
Galactic Tank Force.
American, I wish them well. I took quite a bath on Hot Wheels, and
Yeah, that was a little
Whatever.
bit more. Yeah.
yeah, I owned a Hot Wheels. Like I supported the company for a bit there,
That's a great.
for sure.
And it's a good game.
Yeah,
It's fun to shoot. It flows really well. The orange ramp is nice. I mean, it's nice, but to your point, you've got to figure out what comes in and what goes out. Like that's
And-
what we're talking about. Like what goes in,
exactly.
what goes out.
And
right?
and on that exact same point, it's like they can't all be stern. So one of the rules that I set
Yeah.
was if I'm bringing in a stern has to go. You don't get to tell me no, alien's got to go or Cactus Canyon or something.
That was one of the
else.
rules. I remember
One of the
that.
rules
Yeah.
is it's got to be one of the sterns because
Mhm.
we have like I think what nine stern pinball machines
Out of
in
19?
our space out of 19. It might be more actually now that I think about that, but I think it was like 9 or 10. So ultimately, a stern has to go
Mhm.
if one is coming in,
Mhm.
and so like that was the rule. Star Wars got a lot more votes than I thought it was going to.
Well, there's a rule in this building. When you bring a pinball machine in this building, it gets harder.
Sure,
King Kong did.
absolutely.
I mean, as soon as you don't have to do anything to it.
right.
As soon as it enters this building, the game is harder.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Is this building cursed?
No, it's not cursed. It's just it has a lot of very good pinball players in it all the time.
Yeah.
And
Well, and to be fair, at the tournament, we set it up hard. I mean, low ball saves, we took the rubbers out.
Yeah, for sure.
I will say, I put the rubbers
You
back
put the
in.
rubbers back in?
I did. We
I
put
did not. I took them out and just put them in the box.
We put the rubbers back in there for the center post and that kind of thing. But to your point, like, on Jaws, the rubber in the out lane, I'd have not put that
Don't
one
put
back
that
in.
back in.
No, like
You didn't
some
put it
games-
back in on Leap of Faith at Kong, did you?
I don't remember.
The
Yeah.
one in it's the left out lane. It's the same
I
thing.
might have added it, but I will take it back out for
Don't
a
put it-
tournament.
yeah, it's
for
hard.
tournaments, yeah, it
Or
definitely.
I mean, it makes
it makes
it
it
too
too easy,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Maybe why you couldn't get on it. Only it's too easy.
Oh,
now.
maybe it is.
Maybe
back
they're
on
long
there.
playing games, right? So
It is a long playing. I mean, if you.
It is. I mean, a lot of Elwyn games are, right? Other than like Jurassic
I
Park.
thought it was a long playing game, and then Dale had 4 games on it and beat me.
Yeah.
I had it for 48 hours. He had it for 6 games, and he beat my score.
Well, you're only B division champion. you
I
know,
mean,
so-
Dale didn't even make it in the division.
Ooh,
Oh,
spicy.
I hope Dale's listening.
Spicy. Okay.
All right,
Fair
so
enough.
anyway, so back to your rules. It has to be
Yeah.
a stern, right?
Mhm.
So I know I was voting for Jurassic Park. And
I wasn't
Star
gonna.
Wars.
I also wasn't gonna swap anything out that I just bought. 'cause
Right, so
Some people had some shade about Uncanny
Uncanny
X-Men,
X-Men.
which sucks that the code is where it is. But I'm like, I literally just bought it. I refuse to get rid of it that quickly when we have other games that are older
Sure.
or haven't gotten as much play. Like that one is staying in the lineup.
Nobody
so.
was voting out Foo. Nobody was
No.
voting out Jaws. Nobody was voting out Black Knight.
Surprisingly, no. Yeah,
What about
it's
now-
hard, but I like it.
this is how long that I've been here. I remember getting Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sure.
And was that Rick and Morty?
I traded Rick and Morty. For
It was Rick
Guardians
and Morty,
of the
right?
Galaxy. Yeah,
So
it was
that
a
might have been the first
guy down in
trade?
Richmond.
And
Possibly, yeah.
It's
It
like
was
a
pretty
pro
early
meme.
on.
It's got powder coat.
Yeah.
And it's been here the
It's got
entire time.
The Groot arms.
Yeah.
At the time, it had the topper. I ended up selling the topper
But
because I'm not a topper guy.
did anybody vote for? Do you remember? Did anybody vote to get
I don't
rid
know
of
if anyone
Guardians?
voted for it. Me personally, that was going to be my inclination. I thought this has been here a long time.
Because it's old.
It used to be, and probably maybe still is, a very like well played game because it's such an iconic IP. But I was like, it's been here a long time. I could let Guardians go. I'm not gonna like be like, oh, I wish we had Guardians. The one thing that
I would have been.
yeah, well, here's the one thing that pulled me back from that was that honestly, and maybe it's due to its age or just whatever. Not a lot of locations have a Guardians. Certainly not around the Northern Virginia area
Well,
at all.
that's one of the things you were just talking about.
Even Richmond.
Yeah.
People come up from Richmond to play in the tournaments. They're like, yeah, I don't know Guardians. It's not anywhere that I play. And I'm like, that's interesting. So, out of the uniqueness factor, even though it's been here a while, it's not one that you run into.
Really?
Yeah. Not compared to Stranger Things.
It's such
or
a popular
any of the,
game.
All the Elwing games. Or like, there's so many Sterns out there that are more popular than that one to where, yeah, it's just. I mean,
Yeah, I
if
guess
you look
you're
at the
right.
pinball map and you look at like where a Guardians
RPC
is,
doesn't have one?
RPC does not, or at least they didn't at the time that I was
Decades?
talking to them. I don't know about Decades. Jackpot doesn't have one.
Does Ocelot?
No. Ocelot deals more in the newest of the new games, right?
Oh,
so,
hell yeah, they do. Yeah.
yeah.
They'll have a
So,
new
especially
whatever.
again qualifying if it was coming to the Sterns, it's going to be all new ones, right? Like it's not going to be these games that are like 5 years old now, or actually
Yeah.
that one's probably like 2018, I think. So, yeah, I mean that one's.
Stranger Things, nobody voted. That's the oldest one here.
I don't care if anybody voted for it. It's never going away. I love Stranger
Especially,
Things.
dude, they just announced yesterday. All the new things are coming out.
That's
So
right.
now you can't get rid of it until 2027.
That's right. They're gonna. I mean, the cast is gonna be checking into a retirement home by the time they get this season out.
They're all going to graduate college and everything.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But yeah, no, I didn't want Stranger Things to go. I still enjoy it, but it's
Maiden?
Stranger Thing has been here the longest, without a doubt.
Since day one.
It's since day one. It was
Mhm.
it was the first new in box that I bought. Bought it December pre-COVID. Before, everything happened.
And
so,
then Maiden's next to that.
Maiden's next to that. I still like Maiden a lot.
Maiden's,
But Maiden is at
it's at
Maltese
Maltese.
as well.
I
so,
think Maiden is one that more people have around,
yeah,
especially than
Right.
Guardians.
Maiden could go. I thought about it. Star Wars. I thought about Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park and
Yeah.
Star Wars. Those are the next.
But that's about it, right? Like, I mean,
When you get
there's still a lot of other good games here, and so it does get hard when we make those decisions.
Yeah,
but
you want to have the new Sterns.
Yeah.
So, what makes you decide of the games that Stern is going to put out?
yeah.
What makes you decide which game you're going? Because you're not going to get. You can't replace a game
I'm
with a
not-
new game
I'm
3
not-
times a year.
No.
So,
And I'm not flush with cash, right? Like, even
Yeah.
if I wanted to.
let's
like,
be clear. Owning an arcade doesn't mean that you can do all those things.
No, without a doubt. So yeah, that's a good question. Obviously I follow up with all the rumors and everything, so I kind of have a general sense of like, even now it's like, okay, Keith Elwin came out with his. I know John Borg is up next, and they're talking about some Star Wars themed game. Am I going to go for it? Most likely not. Here we are talking about axing Star Wars, even if it was Andor or Darth Vader.
Whoa.
Dude, you can look at me like that, but a John Borg game is hard anyway.
If it was a Darth Vader game,
Yeah, but
I didn't even think about that.
they've talked about it.
You
as
know
a
how big of a
potential-
Star Wars fan.
I am too, but John Borg is notoriously hard games. Guardians is a Borg game.
I
Walking
love Guardians,
Dead.
though.
It's hard though. It's hard. Anyway, Star Wars. I'm like, oh, I've got Star Wars. It's not going to be some. Especially
Okay,
if it
so
was like-
theme is
so
theme a
theme
thing?
plays a little bit of a role for
Okay.
sure. But it's not everything. A good example of that, being that our arcade is like a very 80s aesthetic, a lot of people thought I would be into Dungeons and Dragons, just like, oh my gosh, you couldn't ask for something better. And I was like, no, because I'm saving my money for Kong. I knew that Keith Elwin's next game was
But
coming
why
up
were you saving it for Kong, which is what you just said?
because Keith Elwin is the GOAT.
Because of Keith Elwin.
Yeah, we knew. So designers play a role in it.
Huge role.
I'm a big fan of Jack Danger, and I think that's why in some ways I'm a little bit of an apologist on X-Men, because I think the game can be better with code. I don't think it's going to change things too bad, but I want to see where it can be. Foo Fighters was incredible by him.
Incredible
and I think he
game.
does just some really interesting things. They might not all pay off, and maybe X-Men is just a combination of too many crazy ideas that didn't quite
I've said
pay
that.
off.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
I think X-Men is too many unique things in one game.
Yeah.
The pop bumpers where they are, the left in lane that's not an in lane.
Dude, get some good code on that though.
But is that going to help with the
Sure.
flow and the shots? I mean, the danger room
The
is
flow's
cool,
there.
but
yeah.
you can't flow in that game.
I can't, but you could. As
No, I can't.
B division champion.
I cannot. I actually played pretty well the other day, and I was like, oh,
See?
that's a fun shot, but I wasn't getting any points.
Right. See, that's code. That's definitely like the balance.
Well, that's like the
whatever.
GNR when they redid that.
But
it didn't make it that much more fun. I was just a
Yeah.
GNR fan because I like the game and I love the band. Like
right. There are dozens of you.
now,
There are,
there are at least 12.
There's at least 12 people.
Maybe
that
24.
Are a big fan of
Maybe
GNR.
Stop it. Stop. Well, you're like
Yeah.
X-Men that I am for GNR. I'm not. But all they did was make it so that I scored more points.
Right.
Doing the same things.
Sure.
So I went through that with GNR.
So you feel better about the game,
Right.
Because you got a higher score.
Does that mean that I'm going to have more fun on X-Men because I scored more points? No.
Probably
It
not.
just
yeah.
means that I have another 0 on the board. Like
Yeah.
that's okay. So
I do look at the designer. I look at the
big
theme
thing
and
is the
those things.
designer.
Yeah, and to like we said, I don't have unlimited budget. So at this point, it's like I got Kong. That might be the only one for 2025. Like unless I decide later in the year, maybe I got some money or whatever. But my next site is probably going to be Pokemon, which he's pointing. Collins is literally, so we're sitting in our 80s living room at the arcade, and he's literally pointing to a VHS tape of a Harry Potter.
It's staring at me.
It's staring right at you.
It is.
That
it's
is
the Sorcerer's Stone.
We'll see. Jersey Jack games have not done well on location in general.
Well, you had GNR.
I had GNR.
So I don't know if you should.
I just think in general they are very multi-ball heavy, which is not friendly for tournaments where you're hoping for fast-playing games.
Listen, people, if you're listening to arcades
Yeah.
and if you want to start arcades, this is like
you need these
arcade
hard
101.
games, right?
You do not want. And I'm the first person to say I'm a JJP fan.
Yeah.
I had Hobbit, which I
think they make
loved.
great games for the home
Home
environment.
use,
Yeah.
right? But I played this is not an exaggeration. I played a Hobbit game one time that I had to leave the ball in the shooter lane and go to dinner and come back. I played a 2.5-hour game, not including the dinner shift that I had to leave and come back to. It was a 2.5-hour game. At that point, I was like, I don't know.
You
if
were
I
also
wanna...
kind of bored with the game after 2 months. You had been through everything.
It was a
right?
while. No, it was
It
was almost a year. But
Yeah.
then at that point, I was playing hour-long games all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I just want to go down and
No
I
way.
want to get my pinball fix in 15, 20 minutes. Like, okay, maybe have a good game, maybe half an hour. And yeah, I would play Hobbit for a shorter game.
Right.
But it's multi-ball heavy. But Hobbit had everything. I mean, it was a wide body. It was
beautiful. Yeah.
gorgeous.
Right.
Everything about it. The theme integration on the thing was probably the best. But
Now
you always complained it was the multi-ball was like you can get the multi-ball all the time. It's horrible.
They didn't make it harder to restart it. It was
Right.
just like you can light it and start locking balls again. It's just like
GNR
really?
was the same way. Like
Yeah.
it's almost so on location. To
The
take from
only-
that on location, that they're not good. They're not.
They're not great. Now Elton
Free
John,
play, they're not
Elton
anyway.
John gives me hope. Elton John's a fun game. It's out of the
Yeah.
recent ones, that's the most fun that I've had. And so
Do you think you would put one in here?
no, but it gives me hope that they've figured out how to make the flipper stronger, that with Steve Ritchie there, they figured out some flow aspects. That was Steve Ritchie's games. Will he have any influence in Harry Potter? I don't know.
Yeah, Eric's doing it.
Eric's doing it,
But does
Steve Ritchie
he-
works there, so
yeah.
like, you
Mentoring.
got to imagine there's some level of collaboration.
Yeah.
If you're Eric and you work at a company with Steve Ritchie, you'll listen, right?
You're taking
So,
notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
That'll be
And-
interesting. So I don't know about Harry Potter. I'm waiting to see, obviously, and we'll find out really soon.
I thought
think,
Godfather was okay to play.
Yeah.
That's another Eric game.
Yeah, I didn't like Godfather.
It was. I liked all the different things in it.
Felt like a lot of
The
stop
ball
and go
path.
to me.
It
Yeah,
is. It was.
Right.
And so was. I don't
It's
think
not my theme either, so I can't really.
that was.
you know.
Well, you're just talking about that.
Right.
Theme is a big deal, especially coming into the arcade. So theme and what are going to bring people to the game. That's why Guardians is such a big, well-played game.
Right.
Stranger Things, same thing.
Harry Potter, that theme will definitely do really, really well. I wouldn't be surprised if Maltese gets one though. And maybe, if I decide, hey, JJP's really not for me in my space, I might
Right.
just let that go and let them have that. The rumor is that Pokemon will come out in early next year. And that's like the next one that I'm saving my pennies for, like deciding that will go in the arcade. Like if Stern puts out a Pokemon, I think they can do some incredible stuff with Insider Connected. I think it's a theme that people grew up with in the 90s, and it's really like this nostalgia hit. I know you're grimacing, but I think for so many people, that's like nobody would stop playing that here.
I'm in the
I think.
minority. I'm
And
admittedly
the rumor was that Jack Danger was going to design it,
yeah.
which is very interesting. And then the last rumor was that maybe it's not Jack Danger, maybe it's Keith Elwin's
Maybe
next
it's
pin.
Elwin.
So, like, either way, I mean, that seems weird that that would be Keith's next game, and it's certainly not going to come out early next year if that's the case. But,
Yeah, then that would mean that Danger's working on a different game.
right. And
Back to the
I don't know
Future.
what that would be. Ooh, I don't know. I don't think they have a license anymore for Back to the Future. I don't think
know.
anyone at Stern wanted to do it. But either way, yeah. So that's how I decide the games, and I ultimately decided on Deadpool because Maltese already had it.
Mm-hmm.
It was one that I could let go. It's a pretty common game that I think you see at a lot of locations, and I was like, yeah, and this is super lazy. It's right beside Godzilla, and I knew I wanted Kong next to Godzilla, and I was like, oh, you know what's next to Godzilla?
We'll just put it there.
Deadpool is.
Just
I'll just swap that game. So that's what we ended up doing.
It worked out though because it was
It
a quick turnover for you.
Right.
Somebody already wanted it.
Easy.
And that's another
Yeah.
thing that maybe you take into consideration too.
Resale value,
You have to
or just like the ability to
the
sell
ability
it.
to do it, not
right.
having to list it
Sometimes
anywhere.
I do. I mean, at any price, something will go. And I mean, I've had to like.
Yeah, but we had to take one to Allentown and take
Yeah.
a bath on it just to not bring it home. And
I have to take baths on most games because it's a free play arcade that these get abused in. So it's like the Avengers LE. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
Hot Wheels, like, I mean, some more so than others, but in general, you just expect that these games get more abuse. I do take care of them, but there's no stopping the amount of abuse that happens here.
well,
given
I'll
it's
say
a free play
Deadpool, like I
arcade.
cleaned it up and there's nothing wrong with that playfield.
Yeah,
Zero.
other than Shooter Lane.
Yeah, and the shooter lane's not super bad.
Yeah.
Like for being here, it's not super bad. If you
Right.
just listen to me and put the protector in.
I did on day one on that, and then the protector
sucks.
blocked the game from being able to work.
Yeah.
So,
Well, remember when we worked on it
Happens.
with Jaws
yeah.
and we couldn't, it was all funky. And then what ones do you use now?
Volcano Pinball on Pinside makes these, and they're 3D printed, but they're super thin, which I really like.
I think that's what I put on Bond.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
really great. They come in a variety of different colors, and
Yeah.
they're easy to put in. You don't have to like lift. You don't have to take any screws out or put anything in. Like the Pin Defender, you have to really like take apart some stuff to get it in. This is just double-sided tape on the underside, and you stick it down
Yeah,
in
it's
there,
just-
and it's very thin.
That's what I did on.
And so yeah, they're good.
GNR, I put the big long one on. You had to take some screws out. And
Yeah. So,
this is just
right.
put it in.
Mhm.
Yeah. Get a couple of those in stock. Did you put one on Kong yet?
That and you dial the trough eject down, obviously. So
Oh, yeah. So it's not banging around so much.
yeah, their default
Did you
is
put
like
one on
way
Kong
too
yet?
high. No. So, anyways,
It's only been a weekend.
I don't
a week.
have any
only
at the
been-
moment.
Well,
should
we know
buy-
who's
I-
it. We
I
know who
need
it
to-
is.
I need to buy a bunch.
Yeah,
just
just buy
like-
black ones.
I should just buy a bunch of black ones. Yeah, no, I like the color coordination.
It is cool.
It is cool.
It's
but
cool.
It's
Like the
but
Jaws
then
one
that
is
makes
blue.
it harder. Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like I wish I just had a bunch right now. I'd take anything or clears. I could do clear.
You have a 3D printer.
Yeah, but
You could figure out how to do it.
I'm not good at designing the files. That's my only thing.
Yeah, and it's got the little dip. Like it's very
Yeah.
well fitted.
Right.
They're
It's
very
great.
good. It is worth just buying it.
And I'm also like very happy to support somebody
Mhm.
who's figured out a great way to make something. I'm pretty sure it's flexible plastic too,
It
which
is.
cool.
It's like
Yeah.
ABS
Yeah.
instead of PLA.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So
Well,
yeah, Kong's in the lineup. I want to get more time on it. Like you, I actually haven't put a lot of games on it because I've been so busy with the week of work that I've had. But I definitely
Yeah.
want to do more of that.
it was on the last during the tournament. It was on the bank. The last 3 that we streamed.
Yeah,
So if you guys want to go back and watch that stream and learn
yeah.
a little bit about Kong
for sure.
and listen to Robert Peters say, "Oh, oh,"
You are
18,000 times.
killing people's ears right now
Sorry,
on this
buddy.
podcast. Jesus.
Well, I was doing my best, Robert.
oh,
But it was a lot of fun.
yeah.
that got to see it, and it was very popular while we were there.
Nice.
And then you got the trophies. You're always handing out nice trophies for your people.
Yeah, it's a
and
good day.
got the monetary rewards.
Yeah, you got
I got
300?
I got 200.
200?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought first place was 3.
Did
I
you rip me off?
what,
Do I need another?
I didn't remember what the payouts were.
I didn't either. I thought it was going to be
200
like
sounds good.
$50. I know. That's what I was like. 200
I mean, it was
is
good.
great.
Yeah, I definitely, for that tournament, gave out more money to less people than Labor Day. Labor Day, like, anybody who made Division B or A got money, but the lower-end folks from those divisions got, like, $25. This time I was like, top 8 on the A division, top 4 on the B division, get money.
So the top 8 from A got money?
Yeah.
I
which
need
was
to make A next time.
Yeah, which was still
Well, yeah, but
decent.
I probably got more money than the 8th place person.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know you did, actually. Yeah, so that's how
How
that
did the
played
points go with those? So they're IFPA events.
It was worth 60 whoppers, something thereabouts, 60 or so.
For first place?
For first place.
I don't know what I got.
Yeah.
And it gets interesting then because, and I don't understand this completely, when you're in a tournament and you can't make the B division, but you make the B division, you're disqualified, but you still keep your spot.
You still keep your spot for points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even though I beat you.
Playing in the B division is just for money and trophy, but it's not for points.
So the
points have been decided for you because you didn't make the finals.
After
IPA only looks at the main finals, not both of them. B division is a whole separate thing that's just for
after qualifying, nothing after the A finals counts.
Correct.
Okay.
Everything is already set in stone there because
and then the A's will
because
adjust
if you didn't
based
qualify for B, like, do they go ahead of you? But then you had to play a bunch of games and all that, so it just doesn't matter. Like, the only thing that matters is qualifying and finals of A division. So, yeah. Then we had punk rock night on Friday. So we had 3 different bands. We tried to do live music most every Friday, other than, we do karaoke. We do the emo nights and the goth nights. Those are like what I would say are our DJ nights. And then we've had a lot of bands recently. And so this past Friday was another good one. This was Bedmaker, Torino Death Ride, and the Mostly Dead. 2 of those 3 bands I had never even heard of before. Torino Death Ride has played here at the arcade
That's
before.
what I was going to say. Torino Death Ride.
Yeah, and they actually connected us with Bedmaker. So we use a good friend of mine, Seth Kasana with Bigwig Productions. He handles all of our booking for bands because I was like, I want to do live music, but I don't know this world at all. And he was wanting to do that. Like, that's his deal. Like, he works with bands. He gets it booked. He writes contracts. Make sure everybody gets paid, all the things, and we make sure it all works out financially.
So he's your talent. He finds the talent.
He is, yeah. He finds the talent. And it turns out, like, Bedmaker is a name. Like, the lead singer of Bedmaker is, I believe, the sister of Fugazi. And somebody that's listening to this podcast is going to be like, no, you don't even know what's going on. But that's fine. Like, I don't know these.
I don't. That's Seth's
know
job.
That's the point. But related to Fugazi. And so, which is a very well-known punk band. And then the Mostly Dead was just a local band. Anytime that we're trying to do lineups, we're trying to get people that are local, even if they're up and coming, to open for someone else. So a good 3-band act, and it was a great night. A lot of people had tons of fun there. Punk seems to work really well at the arcade, whereas other live music doesn't always. So who knows? What the lesson is there.
I know in the early days it was a crapshoot.
Oh,
like, and it's still early.
It still is to that extent. Like, live music always will be, because you have a lot of folks who want to play here, or they're like, I've got a band and I want to play. And I'm like, you have 15 followers on Instagram. Like, who are you bringing to the arcade? Ultimately, for me, to be able to pay somebody to play, I need to know that they're going to bring people out to watch them.
So how do you figure that out? Is that Seth's job?
That's Seth's job, not
That's
mine.
Seth's job?
Yeah. Obviously, we invest in the people who've played here before, and we can learn those lessons and know, like, oh, Torino Death Ride's been here before, and we've had great turnout. We can almost assuredly know that if they play again, it's going to be good. So that's helped a lot over time, but that takes time to build.
We had talked about that, originally, like, I'd be here on a Friday and be like, not these guys.
Not these guys. Yeah, and that's always, that's the crapshoot.
No way.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we did come to one, and Madeline, my daughter, was with us, and it was the Galaxy.
They're playing again in
Yes,
June.
and we're going to be here.
Shelley Star in the Galaxy.
Yeah,
You will be here.
I thought I was going to be on vacation, but
I did
it's
too.
the week. Oh, wait a minute.
June 27th.
I got a DJ a wedding in North Carolina,
Oh.
and Madeline's going with us. Crap, she's gonna be mad. But
Yeah.
that's one that
Incredible.
they were so cool.
They were opening for another band the last time we had them. Shelley Star in the Galaxy. It's almost, God, how would you even describe that? Theatrical.
B-movie, theatrical.
Theatrical pop. Very dress up, and they definitely had this sort of like 60s Star Trek
Yes.
galaxy vibe to them.
Yes.
And the music was great. They had a great sound to
Choreographed
them.
dance, like they
Yeah.
were all doing the same things up there. It was.
So
I
they-
was like, wow, whoa.
So-
And Madeline loved it. We got our pictures taken with them.
Yeah.
They were around, and I think that's one of the cool things about music nights is those people don't have anywhere to go, so they're here.
Right.
Like, and they're with their people, they're with their audiences, and I'm not sure that they had their own people. So the 3 or 4 of them were like going around the arcade,
Right.
and Madeline was like, "I want to get my picture taken with them."
That's
So
cool.
we did, and we got her picture. She got
Yeah.
her picture taken, and it was a really cool thing to do, and they were really good. So I was glad to see that they were playing again. How do you?
Yeah. And now they're headlining their own act. Like it's just
Oh,
them
they're the
playing
headliners
that
now.
as opposed to them opening for someone else
Yeah.
before. So that's all part of that calculus. They were great, so now we know they can stand on their own and hopefully have a good night.
How do you know they're great? How do you bring somebody back? Like, what's your barometer? What's your
Sales. Yeah. It's
so
really,
you look at
I
the
definitely
night.
look at the number of people that came into the arcade.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes that's not always for the band, but you can even, especially when I'm here, you can get a temperature for how many people are here for the arcade, how many people are here for the bands,
Right.
and be able to tell.
Yeah.
But usually it's almost 1-to-1 because our music nights don't start until 8 p.m. Most people aren't coming to the arcade for the arcade after 8
At 9 o'clock.
p.m. They're coming because they heard a band's going to be there.
Yeah.
So it's a timing-based thing.
And for you guys that don't like,
yeah.
the one thing that I don't know if I've ever told you this. The one thing that I really think is awesome and I respect about how you do things is you dive into the numbers and the analytics like hardcore sometimes. You're like, well, let me just look that up.
Sometimes dangerously so.
Yeah, but you do, and I think that's something that running my own business and how I do things is within a company that I work for.
Right.
I kind of do those things, but like you're like, well, let me look at ticket sales. Let me look at what time it was. Let me look at food sales. Let me look at.
Sometimes it's gut feelings, but I
You
do
know.
like to try and back it up
Yeah,
with data.
you
for sure.
you do that a lot. So
Yeah.
do you ever get other than me? Do you ever get feedback from people like comments or like from people talking to the bar or
Occasionally, not a lot on the live bands necessarily. Honestly, not a lot in general.
They just tell you
when
how
it comes
great your
to
DJ is.
entertainment. Yeah, right. Not a lot on the entertainment side necessarily. I try to watch social media, but that's hard too because of privacy settings. Understandably so now. Like most times, if people are posting that they're at the arcade and they're watching this band or something, it's probably just to their friends, and I'm not their friend, so I can't see it.
Yeah.
So because of that, even though I try to get a sense from the social media, it's really hard to know like if people were posting about being there, whether or not they were having a good time or not. So it's really for
If you
me,
get tagged in something, can you see it automatically?
Yes.
Like if Reclaim gets tagged, you can see it.
So
I try to
if-
tag Reclaim.
If they
as much
do
as-
that, then I can see it. And I just, as much as I can, to the extent that I can, I try to be here. And that's the best way for me to know if people are having a good time. If people have their hands over their ears because it's so loud, well, now I know.
That's
They're probably
happens.
not going to say something, but I can tell,
Yeah,
and
that's
so,
happened a lot
Yeah.
previously.
Yeah. It's a tough building to deal with, and, it's not a very large venue. And so, and certain types of genres work better than others, and certain types of band setups, electric drum sets versus full-on drum sets,
We know full well.
guitar amps versus not, all
Right.
that. Like, so definitely the way
Yes.
a band sets themselves up can make themselves better or worse in this particular space. Not all spaces, but this one in particular has its challenges.
Yeah, and we know
So,
electric drum sets are.
they're amazing.
That's the
Yeah.
way to go
Right.
in this space.
It's a different sound, but in this space, it will make you sound much better.
Oh, it
Yeah,
sounds
for
so much
sure.
better. It's not as. Oh, it's just better.
So.
It's a better way to do it.
Yeah.
Do you ever Do you, based on that kind of stuff, like if you're here, and let's be clear, you're here all the time.
I wouldn't say that.
You're
but
here,
I'm
dude.
here
You're
a
here.
lot.
You're here all the time. And on Friday nights when it's 9 or 10 o'clock at night and the band's here,
Right.
you're here
Yeah.
to check. It's not like you just let the arcade run. Sometimes, like
Right.
there are things that you're here to check out and make sure, So, again, if you want to open an arcade,
Be ready to be
be
here.
ready to be there.
Yeah.
You have to show up. STFU all the time. Do you ever think that because a band is so loud or have the wrong setup that you would be like, yeah, I don't think we're going to bring them back?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
I mean, there's definitely been times that we're like, yeah, this is just not going to work out.
Yeah.
If they had a big following, maybe that calculus would change. It would be like, hey, we want you back, but we need to make sure that you sound good enough next time because it was kind of but usually that's not the case. Usually it's a combination of things. It's like, wasn't a good turnout, didn't sound good, all the things. We're just not going to invite them back here again.
How about the guys that did the video here?
Who did a video here?
Remember they made the video. They made their
Oh, absolutely. They're great. Varia.
Varia, that's
Varia.
right. Or
Yeah,
Varia,
yeah.
Varia. Yeah.
We've had a couple music videos
They
been
were
recorded here, but yeah, they're awesome.
They were crazy good.
Yeah, they're great. Yeah.
I stayed for that one. They were good. They were loud,
They're
but
loud,
they were good.
but they use in-ear monitors and they kind of had stuff dialed in there, and they're just a fun group. Yeah, we would definitely have them back. I'm sure we will. So, yeah.
And we'll get when Retroactive comes back.
When they come back, yeah. Retroactive was a good one. So
they were the best. Those were the good old days.
Right.
When we had big parties all the time and great.
It's still good old days.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's still in the very new stages.
Had a lot of parties this weekend. That kept me not kept me very busy, but kept the arcade busy.
So what do you explain the parties?
So we have a private party room that people can book for 2-hour time slots, and they get 20 passes with it, and they can bring in their own food, or they can buy our food, whatever. But most people, like if they order pizzas or whatever, will allow that in the room. It's just a private place for them to be, to set up, tablecloths and have a cake and do all their, like, whatever celebration. And I wondered, with graduation, like, maybe some of those parties were graduation focused. I don't know why. We had a party Wednesday, a party Friday, 4 parties on Saturday, and 4 parties on Sunday. So it was a busy week of that room being, like, pretty much nonstop in use. So it's a big part of what we do here, and it's a very popular space to have parties. But yeah, and it definitely, when there are parties, then the arcade is even more vibrant, especially when it's early on a Sunday, like 10 a.m. on a Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
It could be dead here, but if there's a party going, there's people here,
There's
right?
25 people in there.
So it definitely makes for a busy weekend when it's like, oh, every single party slot is booked out? Cool. Where it's going to be, just very, like, nonstop all day long.
A little double-edged sword.
Yeah, it is. It's good, but yeah.
Like, you had a bunch of teachers come in last Thursday.
Right.
And they asked.
Yeah.
That was like the thing. They wanted to come in.
Right.
Not that we don't put your name out there all the time, but they knew that we were connected, and they said, hey, can you get us can we do the party room? And
Right.
Aaron said, yeah, let's do that. So they did that, and they all had a blast.
Yeah.
I mean, they got, you had just opened up the drinks.
That's right.
So they were doing the drinks. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that.
And
We'll get to that. We still got to talk about the propane.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh,
but the
God.
party room
Yeah.
is, I look at it as this bonus for you, because it's not just arcade.
Well, so when we first opened, we didn't have a party room. So when we first opened in 2021,
Right.
it was the middle of COVID, and we
couldn't get together anyway.
couldn't really get together anyway. And so, like, what we were doing, instead of these day passes where anybody can come and go as they please, there were occupancy restrictions. And so we limited it to 20 people in the whole building. So if you wanted to have a birthday party or any kind of party here, you could just book out that time slot, and the whole arcade was yours, which was a hell of a deal,
Yeah.
You get
That's
the
great.
entire arcade to yourself. And it worked out for us because you're basically booking out an entire slot. We don't have to sell all of those passes to other people for that particular slot. So instead of having a room, you just got the whole arcade. Now, that did change once the occupancy restrictions went away, and we were like, all right, now we'll just be open to the public. And that was the impetus for us to be like, then we need a room because we know parties are a big thing, and we
Right.
definitely need to be able to continue to be able to sell parties to people. And so that was when we expanded a little bit at that point and built a party room that people could book. And that was the switch was anybody can come in. It's $15 a person. And if you want a party, you're not getting the whole arcade anymore. And there was a transition time there where people were like, I thought I got the whole arcade. And you'd be like, not anymore.
Did you have a lot of requests during COVID for parties? Did you have, because like it's a space that they could go to,
Yes.
like a safe, I don't want to say a safe space,
Yeah.
but it was a space that,
Their bubble could be a part of something, and they knew that it was safe. Yeah,
yeah, the
absolutely.
bubble, right?
Yeah.
The bubble that everybody had to.
It worked out really well for
So
everybody.
during COVID, you had these requests.
I mean, you know, it was 2021, so
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, I would say that was during COVID. I wouldn't have said it was on
No,
the
but
tail end, but it was. We were still dealing with masks and occupancy restrictions and all that kind of
Occupancies,
stuff.
right.
So
So then when you
Yeah.
bumped out, and then you knew it was going to be a big part, so you said, let's, and that's what I mean by
Right.
now this is like a kind of a bonus to the business,
yeah,
because hey, well, people are going to do parties here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, even my kids have been like,
more so even with kids than I realized. I didn't realize like how many like non-adults would have fun here. And
my kids have both, well,
I'm pretty sure
Tucker's
there
had
was
two or three here.
a-
Coda had one here.
One of the parties this weekend, I think, was for an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old. And, you know, they have a blast here because, you know, it's flashy lights, it's arcade games and stuff. Even though they're older games, people still get excited. Kids
Yeah.
get excited by the atmosphere.
I see many tween
Right.
parties,
Sure.
10, 12, 14,
Yeah.
you know, in that area.
And then you have retirement parties and graduation parties and all
When all
kinds
the
of
parents
things.
come with 'em.
Everybody wants a unique place to have a party, and this is about as unique as it gets in this region. So
Yep.
I definitely think it's a popular spot for
And they
that.
get their own room.
Right.
It is and it has their
Yeah.
own bathroom. Like, not that it's their own bathroom, but it has
Yeah.
a refrigerator, it has a TV.
Yeah.
It's got
Since our
four-
latest expansion, it's a very nice room.
Yeah,
for
we can
sure.
talk about the expansion on a different one.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a whole.
yeah.
That's
That's
a
a
whole
whole thing.
podcast. That's a whole hour.
Yeah. So lots of parties. And then the only other thing this last week that I was dealing with was propane and propane accessories, as Hank Hill would say.
So there used to be a actual food truck
Right.
for the kitchen.
Yeah, we don't have a kitchen inside the building. Hey, that's a good point. We should back up. We don't have a kitchen in the building. In order to offer food, I bought a food truck and put it in the back, and that's how we offered food.
And you had to get food to be able to sell beer,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to be right. You have to have food to be able to sell beer. So
Yeah.
you have to have
So,
food.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
So
So,
that
you got
was
a food truck.
That was late 21. So COVID now we're past all the occupancy stuff, and I was like, I want to serve food, I want to serve beer, and do all that kind of stuff. And so I bought a food truck and parked it behind the building, and that was how we operated. Only recently did we upgrade to a food trailer, but in between those two, probably, you know, the first, I would say 6 to 8 months of us owning a food truck, I would go to Tractor Supply and refill propane tanks every single week. And that got old very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I had big 40-pound tanks, about twice the size of what you would normally put in a barbecue. I would stick 2 of those in my little Honda Civic, drive up to Tractor Supply, get them filled, and that would get us Wednesday through Sunday with those 2. And we would do that every single week. And I was contacting different companies and going, there's got to be a way for you to put a propane tank behind our building, surely. And most people would be like, no, we can't do it. I was like, why? This makes no sense. And they're
And
like,
you don't mean like you're talking like
a
like a
legitimate,
big at the
yeah,
house, right?
yeah,
Like when I grew up, we had a propane tank for heat,
yeah.
and it's like a 500-gallon.
If nothing else, I didn't really even care about the size as long as a company could come and fill it up. I didn't want it to stop having to travel to Tractor Supply and get them filled myself. Like, even if I only got by a week and you came every week, whatever. Like, just put something behind my space that you come and fill up and not
Right.
me.
Again, you're trying to
Yeah.
run a business. You're not
Right.
trying to go and fill up
So,
pots or tanks of
Yeah.
propane all the time.
so Amerigas did it. It took a while. We had to do a lot of extra stuff, like put up some like construction level barriers around it and do some various things. But we had the tank, and that's been seamless, absolutely seamless. It's a 350-gallon propane tank, and it's been hooked up to our food truck and now our food trailer for years now. It's been on the food trailer since September, and all of that worked seamlessly until Memorial Day. In the middle of our tournament, we ran out of propane. Which never happened before.
Yeah.
And we were like, what is going on?
Why?
And of course, it's a holiday. So there was no calling anybody and going, what the fuck?
And it's the largest tournament you've ever had.
Yeah. I mean, that's a bummer. But you learn with these things. It's like very quickly you realize there is nothing we can do here. Shut it down. So food was done. Shut it down. Anybody who needs food, refund the people who had ordered food that didn't get it. And then anybody who needs food now, DoorDash. Like, whatever you need to do, you can do. But it's a holiday. There's nobody I can call. I'm in the middle of running the tournament. You just deal the cards that you're dealt.
Mm-hmm.
So
you shut it down.
Play the cards that you're dealt.
There
rather.
was no.
Yeah.
After that, there was no food internal.
No.
Right.
So
you have to give all the money back for the orders that, however many, 10 or 12 or
yeah.
whatever.
Not a ton, but yeah, there were some people
there
we had
were
to
some
follow
people
up with, and so then I called them on Tuesday. They came out and did an emergency delivery between Tuesday and Wednesday. I wasn't here at the time they did the delivery, even though they said someone would have to be here, and I live very close, but no one called me.
Which is where everything started.
That's where things go a bit wrong, because I came in on Wednesday morning and the tank's full, and I'm thinking, oh, awesome, we're good to go. And then when our cook got in the afternoon, the tank wasn't hooked up to our trailer anymore. Like, they had disconnected it and they had removed the pieces to reconnect it. And we're like, why would they not do that? And so I call and they're like, well, because no one's there and we need to do a leak test and do other stuff. And I'm like, we're trying to get open now. Like, Wednesday is like go day for
Well, and they had said
all the things.
Somebody had to be there.
Yeah, no one called me though.
And they didn't let you know.
So Wednesday, unfortunately, because they were like, we'll put in a ticket, and I'm like, can you not send someone right now? And they were like, we don't know when it'll be. And turns out it was not that day. So Wednesday, we have no food sales, which is, like, not great. Thursday, someone comes out. I'm like, thankfully, finally, someone can come up and just hook this thing back up, and it's not going to be a big deal. And as it turns out, it was. They identified some issues with a leak and some out-of-code parts and things that they weren't quite happy with. And basically, the guy from AmeriGas just said, I'm not going to be able to reconnect your propane. I said, we're a restaurant. You're not going to allow us to operate? And he said, no, unfortunately, until this stuff gets resolved. And we can't resolve it, to be clear. You're going to have to hire somebody to fix all of these issues, and then we'll come back up and reconnect it.
So you got to rewind. Why did you – this sounds weird in my ear. Why did you run out of propane?
They skipped a delivery.
Oh.
Yeah.
So if we get back to
yeah.
They missed the May delivery.
You know what? This podcast is not sponsored by AmeriGas. They're not going to be too happy with this podcast, but whatever. Yeah.
Well, it's
the truth. It's what it is. Yeah.
They caused a problem because
right.
they skipped the delivery.
Right.
And then
anytime a propane tank runs completely empty, their protocol is that somebody has to come out and do all these checks and balances and stuff to make sure everything's working right, because they're concerned that it ran out.
Sure.
That's where things go wrong, because the person that they send to check all those things is not a typical delivery driver. It's, for better or worse, it's a hard ass that's checking everything.
It's an inspector versus a filler, right? It's an inspector versus somebody that just fills tanks.
And this guy is not invested in any relationship. He does not care that you're a restaurant that can't serve food.
Inspectors don't.
So he's just like, it is what it is, get it fixed, and then call us back, and then we'll send someone out eventually.
So they caused it. You might not even have a leak because they just didn't deliver in May. So but because of their protocol that now they've caused you to go through, you had to be shut down off of that.
Right. Yeah. So Thursday, when I found out, I'm like, oh my God. And, I'm like making this short for whatever. But when I found that out, we had to like figure out how we were going to serve some kind of food because we have an ABC license. People buy drinks. You have to serve food.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and bought a 17-inch electric Blackstone griddle from Lowe's, and we made smash burgers on it for Thursday.
17 inches, baby.
Yep. We on Friday, I connected with someone who was able to help us get an actual external propane tank, like before,
A connection.
connected to
Yeah.
the trailer, and so that's what we've been operating throughout the weekend. We're able, thankfully, to be able to run service like normal. Normal for us being I have to go to Tractor Supply once a week and get tanks.
It's like the
and
good
do
old
all
days.
that. It's like the good old days. So that's where we are right now. Hopefully that will all get resolved, but it made for a hell of a week. I've been here every single day making sure that they can get the tanks hooked up and everything's working and all that, and we still don't have resolution on the fixes.
I
and all
remember
that.
getting the text message,
Yeah.
something about burning the arcade down. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was like, I don't want this place anymore. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh no.
Look, people
what?
listening to this podcast are going to get the good and the bad, and
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
So.
We'll talk about all the fun parties and all the stuff that we do later. But
Oh yeah.
this is just 1 week. And we've only gone
One
through
week, yeah.
1 week of, and it just happens to be like the largest
It's a busy
pinball
week.
tournament in the state.
Yeah.
You
It was
know.
a busy week
Yeah.
for sure.
So, and then that propane gaff
Yeah.
happened, which wasn't. Again, you're running a business and you're relying on other businesses, and now this is of none of your accord. Like, this isn't anything that you did,
Right.
and you've had no reason previously to second guess them or to say, well, did you deliver?
Right.
Like what is the
It's
you know.
always a hard situation too when the people that you're relying on to just get you back up and running are also the people you're most mad at, and that's a hard balance I find. Wanting to scream and yell at the same people that I definitely need to stay happy enough to continue to work with
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And so like there's that like threading that needle has been a little challenging this last week of like
But they can't fix it.
ugh.
You have to get somebody else to come and do it?
I have to have somebody else come and fix it, but then I need them to reconnect their tank. And if at any point they decided they didn't want to do that, they would not have to, and that wouldn't be great either. So I
What needs
definitely-
fixed?
There's just some code related things.
Okay. I didn't know
Yeah.
if there was like an actual like leak or something, but that's going to come after the connection anyway.
Right.
They
yeah,
can't
gotta
check that
all
until-
that
yeah.
stuff too. Yeah, I don't think there's any leak related issues. I think it's just more of the other stuff on the trailer and other things that need to get resolved, and then
Yeah, like
So-
an update when your phone updates.
Yep.
You just need to be like,
Yeah.
oh, we just got to update this stuff.
right. So
It's not going to be that big of a deal. It just has to. It's one of those things that when you have an arcade that sells drinks, that has food, that does parties, that you have to.
you're trying to keep it going business as normal.
All these
Right.
things have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
run
Right.
concurrently. Everything has to be in its lane running, and when
Yeah.
one of them stops,
Right.
How
Throw
much-
a real wrench in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
how much does it stop everything else?
Right.
Right? You're talking like, well, it's just we just don't have propane. Well, okay, now we don't have any food, none.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, okay, and then yeah, it's. I don't know if there are a lot of things that are isolated to just be themselves. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
if a pinball machine goes down, okay, well, a pinball machine goes down.
Right.
But if something like this happened, or if you didn't have ice, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if the ice machine doesn't work, or if the refrigerators go, whatever the
Oh,
case
yeah.
is, how does that affect everything else?
We had, I can remember one summer that the air conditioning went out on like the hottest weekend.
Oh, I
of-
remember that.
Yeah.
You got all those stand-up
I
ones.
bought 2 separate air conditioning units from
Mhm.
Home Depot, and man, they made barely any difference at all because it was just, it was one of those weekends that they said, do not go outside. And we're like, it's a busy weekend for us. There's a lot of people at the arcade, and they're just
don't go to Reclaim
sweating-
either.
Oh my God, yeah, sweating bullets and
Mhm.
doing all the things.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah, not great. So you roll with those punches and you deal with it, but it does make for challenging environments sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get through it. We were going to talk bar stuff, but I feel like this podcast's already running long. Maybe we need to push that to another episode. What do you
Is it
think?
long?
I don't know.
How long? What's our time? Do you have a time thing on there?
I don't. It's tracking like beats per minute because it's GarageBand. So I actually don't know. But I think it's been probably like 2 hours.
How's it?
Or maybe
at least
not.
an hour and a half.
Hour and a half or
Hour and a
so.
half.
So
Yeah, that's good.
I would vote maybe we talk more about the bar stuff. We've been sipping on the drinks from our new bar.
Yeah,
tonight.
that'll be a good one for us to do next week
Yeah.
or whenever the next time we do it.
Yeah, we'll talk about like the evolution of the bar at Reclaim Arcade for those who are interested, because I do think it's an interesting thing about like how we, didn't have alcohol at all to start, and of course then we added the beer and wine and stuff, but only cans and bottles and that kind of thing, and just recently now have a full bar and the choices and decisions that go into that kind of stuff, and then hopefully, God, I hope. A lot of people come this week, and also there are no issues at all, so there's less to talk about next week. That would be amazing.
Yeah, we could talk about things that aren't issues.
That aren't issues.
Yeah.
No. This place is a joy, and it's a lot of fun. But the point of the podcast is to really give you a behind-the-scenes look at everything that happens at the arcade, and so I think that's important to share the bad right alongside the good and everything that's going on with it.
Yeah. We'll get into games and all of those. You see all of those technical things and,
Totally.
posted on all the forums like this and that and the other thing. And it's a lot different in an arcade versus having one in your house.
Right.
The
wear and tear, the abuse,
everything,
all of it.
Yeah. So that's another thing that you can get into.
And I want to hear from other people, like what kind of things are you all interested in? Which curtain do you want me to pull back on the arcade? Or like if you've been thinking about...
What coin door do you want us to open?
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Which coin door do you want opened?
Yeah. Hit us up at opencoindoor@gmail.com. Let us know what kind of stuff you're curious about, what you're interested in, and we'll cover it. This has been a lot of fun.
That'll be a lot of fun, too.
Yeah.
To get some outside, like, hey, I've always wondered how you do this.
Totally.
Or I've always wondered your thoughts on this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no expert. Let's be clear. Like, I'm 4.5 years into this, which is not nothing, but it's not everything either. So
you got a pretty good thing going.
We've got a decent perspective, I think, and that helps. So
you are
always happy to let you all know how we handle things here at the old Reclaim Arcade.
You got a little bit of a name going for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. People notice.
Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.